Minecraft is a single and multiplayer sandbox game that was released by Mojang November 18, 2011. Along with the release of this game came its original soundtrack, Minecraft Volume Alpha, created by Daniel Rosenfeld, also known as C418. This soundtrack is widely known by players as a great ambient soundtrack. So, what makes this music ambient? Let's start by learning about the history of ambient music. According to Brian Eno, ambient music is something that lacks variety and must be able to accommodate many levels of listening attention without enforcing one in particular. Ambient music goes further back than Eno, though. Furniture music was created by Eric Satie in the early 1900s and was described as sounds that were designed to be heard but not listened to, and music that would be part of the surrounding noise. Thus, Eno followed Satie's footsteps by creating pieces such as music for airports in the 1970s. But in the mid-1960s, minimalist music rose. Some elements from this genre include repetition with gradual change, classical instrumentation mixed with technology, consonance, and tonality. Ambient music combines gradual change with minimal harmonic progressions that are emphasized more than melodies. So, it seems that ambient and minimalist music share similar qualities. That means we can argue that Volume Alpha is an ambient soundtrack that uses elements from both ambient and minimalist music. Now, what are some examples of the qualities in this soundtrack? Much like minimalist music, Volume Alpha uses classical instruments and repetitive patterns. This wasn't done out of freedom, but rather necessity. Minecraft's game engine was limited to 20 sound channels, so after factoring in noises from the environment like animals or hostile mobs, there wasn't much room for music. During the sound implementation stage, Rosenfeld decided to randomize the music selection and make it just unobtrusive enough to flow in and out of the player's mind. The goal was to only have attention on the music when something important to the player happened in-game, like watching the sunset or finding diamonds. In his 2015 interview with Killscreen, Rosenfeld further explains how music works in that moment. Rosenfeld said, "Making the music random has the side effect of whenever a player does anything significant that they personally think is significant, and the music kicks in, they remember that moment very vividly. It's all up to the player. They decide subconsciously that, yeah, this moment is specifically made for me, which is fascinating." It's not just the engine limitations that cause this ambience. There are minimalist and ambient elements in Volume Alpha's melodies. The title track Minecraft repeats a 4-bar melody in F-sharp major throughout the entire song. There is little variation in the melody, which shows off the minimalist aspects of ambient music. All the other elements in the song, such as high and low string melodies and bells, don't stray from the octave each aspect starts in, and play repetitively like the melody. This, in combination with the muffled and soft nature of the instruments, make them loud enough to notice, but quiet enough to accompany visuals rather than overtake them. This concept is just as Eno describes, that music must be as ignorable as it is interesting. Much of the album follows this concept, but with popular track Sweden, the melody is static and there is very small movement in the chord progression, which is meant to induce a state of relaxation or concentration, a common goal in ambient music. Another important aspect of ambient music is the combination of elements to create a sonic environment. While listening through the soundtrack, you may notice a lack of percussion and overarching beat. There's also a large reverb on many of the tracks, such as Wet Hands and Subwoofer Lullaby, lasting anywhere from 1 to 3 seconds or 5 to 7 seconds. The The lack of beat and the addition of reverb creates a drone commonly used in ambient music. The earlier stages of Minecraft were very lonely, and this first volume supports that feeling. Apart from environmental noises, music is one of the only consistent parts of the player's experience in the game. The use of a drone creates a common theme from song to song, and Eno believed music was supposed to be continuous and surrounding. It's ultimately up to the player to lean into the soundtrack or drown it out. That's all what ambient music is about.